Command I. Oh crap. Undo. Yo guys, what's good? Surfing Brain here, coming to you from quarantine. Hope y'all staying safe out there and keeping your mental sanity while staying in the house all day. Anyways, today I come to you with 10 tips and tricks for you guys to use in your productions to take it to a better level. Without further ado, let's get started. So let's say, for instance, you have a 2-track minimalist kind of song. Sounds something like this. As you can hear, nothing too complicated. Maybe you want to spice this up a little bit. But if you have a lot of tracks and no space, how do you do it? Well, don't be afraid, the solution is very simple. All you have to do is select the area where you want to insert time and press Command I. And voila, we have some time inserted. Now all we have to do is drag in our killer loop. Oh, I inserted a little bit too much time. So to delete time, you want to select it, click up here, oopsie daisy, select here, and delete time. There you go, it's gone. So 2 tricks in 1. Let's hear how that sounds, shall we? Minimalism is wonderful, isn't it? So for tip number 2, suppose you have a bunch of nice vocal harmonies and you're arranging them together, but you can't sing for your life and you need to use Melodynes to fix your crappy vocals. Well, that's not an issue because you can't let Melodyne play back, because if you want to record some new stuff, you can't. So the solution to that is, first, make a new track pressing Command T, and I made it below the track that I wanted. Let's put it up here. And set it to resampling. Turn the record on, solo the track that you want, and hit record.
Morning comes and I run away from the truth, even though it's staring me in the face when I'm with you.
And let's hear that back with the rest of the harmonies.
Morning comes and I run away from the truth, even though it's staring me in the face when I'm with you.
And that's a nice way to record new instruments to a track using resampling. So using what we learned in tip 2, let's resample all the harmonies into one track.
Morning comes and I run away from the truth, even though it's staring me in the face when I'm with you.
And suppose you wanted to take this to the dance floor, you need some vocal chops. So, taking that into consideration, let's slice this to a new MIDI track. And for the purposes of this, let's do it by transient. And we patiently wait for our slow computer to, oh, not too slow, great. All right, let's enable the play. That's not play, okay. And now we have a drum rack full of playable chops. And let's delete this and let's start playing. And there you have it. So moving forwards, on to tip number 4. So we had these nice vocal chops that we created in the last section, and I went ahead and finished that and added some automation to make things flow smoothly. This is what that sounds like. So this is a nice drum and bass sort of break section that will lead into a drop. And I have added some automation, as you can see, on a couple channels in the volume, on this portal plugin, and on the frequency shifter. Now we certainly want some transitions as we go into the drop, but I don't think we'll want this frequency shifter again. So as we're copying and pasting these vocal chops over here, what do? Because if we just copy and paste, we get this automation all over again, which we don't want. So you want to turn on this automation lock button right here. And when we copy and paste that MIDI over here, the automation doesn't copy again. It doesn't repeat. So you only get one instance of automation. It essentially locks onto the clip, which is what we want. Alrighty folks, I believe we're at tip number 5. So I've come up with a little drop here, and this is what it sounds like. So tip number 5 is simply activate and deactivate clips, which is 0. So suppose you want to create some variation. I've duplicated this vocal chop melody into 2 different tracks, and I have a manipulator on one of them over here. And that's putting the foreman up by 5. So if you want to create a little bit of variation and take out the vocal chops for a little section, you can press 0, and then that's what I did, and that's what this is what it sounds like. Basically, we're just taking this out for this section. 0, very simple. Now, for tip number 6, suppose you have a nice audio file or audio clip, but doesn't have enough rhythmic movement. What do we do here? Well, I'll teach you a very nice trick that you can use in your own productions. So, if we go back to that drum and bass track that we had before, sounds like this. But we want to increase the rhythmic element or rhythmic component to this track. What we can do is simply go to the warping section over here, and it's normally set to beats, and you want to keep it there. But in the preserve section, you want to go from transients, and you want to choose one of these subdivisions. For this example, I'm going to choose 1/16. I'm going to change the mode from this to this, and I'm going to turn down this knob right here. And watch what that does. This is one of the oldest tricks in the Ableton book. And let's hear how that sounds. Well, it sounds quite dandy, don't you think? So tip number 7, frequency shifting the chords to get sort of a glide effect. And I'll show you how that's done. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the pad that we had in the beginning, and we're gonna stick a frequency shifter on it, and we're gonna automate this fine frequency. That's pretty important. You don't really wanna automate this chorus frequency unless you're going like within 100. It's better to do fine frequency for this sort of effect. So click here once, automate is A, and then you wanna draw in an envelope sort of thing. Within 100 hertz, I'm gonna go around like 80 or something for this effect. So I'm gonna take this envelope and I'm gonna repeat it for several instances to get multiple effects going, and this is what it sounds. That doesn't sound really that good. I'm gonna get rid of this one, and I'm gonna go over here and paste it here. Let's hear what that sounds like. And so that's tip number 7. Moving on. Tip number 7. Have you ever tried to fit a dog in a really tight jacket? Doesn't work. But in Ableton, we're able to put chains inside chains and groups inside groups. I'm gonna show you how to do it. So I've set up a group here with all the vocal harmonies, right? And if I want some more flexibility, if I want to group certain harmonies together, for example, these two are panned left and right. So if I want to group these together, I can select them both, hit Command G, and I can have group inside of a group. So you can have separate sort of processing for this group and for this main group. And if you want to group everything in here together separately, you can do that. Select all of them and group them together. So I have one group for my harmonies panned left and right, and I have one group for all the other harmonies. It's kind of hard to see it because it's different colors. Let me try to change the color real quick. So as you can see, we have two different groups for our harmonies. Very useful tricks, you guys. Moving on to tip number 8. So folks, tip number 8. Suppose you have a really poorly sung vocal, like this one.
Morning comes and I run away from the truth.
Ghastly, if I must say. So what you want to do is you can put on an EQ8 like I have here, and turn on this little headphone symbol. We're going to turn up the Q here so we don't get these massive notches. And let's solo this for.
Morning comes and I run away from the truth. Even though it's staring me in the face when I'm with you.
So as you can hear, you can sweep through the frequencies and you can hear that notch boosted in the opposite direction. So you can hear what that frequency is doing at each specific moment. And this is very useful in filtering out frequencies which are rogue. And let me show you how that's done.
Morning comes and I run away from the truth, even though it's staring me in the face.
So as you can hear, that frequency is not too pleasant. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna reduce the gain, not by that much, but maybe by like 9 dB. Let's hear how that sounds.
Morning comes and I run away from the truth, even though it's staring me in the face when I'm with you.
So nothing too major, but a little bit more controlled, and that's gonna help you guys. So moving on to tip number 10. So have you ever been in the situation where you wanted to beat your friends left and right, but you just couldn't do it? Don't worry, you can do it in Ableton using AutoPan. So what you want to do is you want to take an instance of AutoPan and insert it on your desired instrument. And basically we're going to try to set up some sidechain with this AutoPan. So I'm going to solo this track. And we're going to turn up the sidechain amount. Put it to beats mode. Let's start with a 1/8 note. And turn down the phase all the way. And we're going to set it on triangle. Oh, that's some good sidechain. And we can change the shape here to adjust the sidechain amount. So now it's like way more choked, but here it's kind of more pumping and loose. So you can adjust these settings depending on what you're looking for. Some lighter sidechain, and you can have that heavy pumping sidechain with the amount all the way up. So that takes our session to a close, folks. Thanks y'all for tuning in. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Smash that subscribe button if you want more videos like this. I plan to start a series where I go into like the iTunes store or like Spotify and remake some tracks. I really want to do that to improve my own skill and also to share some tips and tricks with you guys and go on this journey of improvement as music producers together. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. If you have any questions, also definitely leave that in the comments. I will answer every question that comes up. And that being said, Surfing Squad out.